Well, it's certainly crunch time as the season is coming to a close. Just 2 rounds left in the championship here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series, and we hit Europe and we hit the Red Bull Ring. It is going to be a very interesting evening of racing. It's the penultimate round. We've got race 9 and 10 of the season, just 11 and 12 to go in a couple of weeks' time at Donington Park before we wrap up the title, and it is turning into a very close fight between Marcus Byfeld and Tobias Olsen. It's myself, Cam Roger, got Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast as we bring you through all of the action tonight. We started at Watkins Glen back in September before moving to Road Atlanta. We then came over to Ruskegan, which is certainly a very interesting race there, before moving back over to Canada and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve a couple of weeks ago. And now we end with the Red Bull Ring as we get to the Additon Vehicle Construction Grand Prix tonight, and then it's going to be Donington Park in a couple of weeks' time. So some tough circuits here actually to end the season. Here is where we stand with 1 drop round included. After tonight, a second drop round will be taken into consideration before we get to the final race of the season. And as it stands, 30 points is the difference, and Tobias Olsen will close up just a little bit after some penalties and whatnot, but it's going to be approximately 30 points between those two. Then we got Bernsen is in 3rd place, Lindhoff, Sundström, Vigiju, your top 6 drivers, and really the ones in contention for the top positions at the end of this season. It's been a very intriguing one with how the racing has been so far this season. Tobias Olsen has dominated a lot of it, but he did not win a race last time out at Montreal. He had an amazing fight with Marcus Byfeld in that first race before coming through in the reverse grid, but not overtaking his teammate and finishing second to Samuel Lindelof, who was the first driver to win this season that was not Olsen or Byfeld, who are certainly dominating today. We come in towards the qualifying session, and guess who's up the front? Olsen and Byfeld. It's certainly been a sort of a dominant display by those two drivers, but it is close behind as the season is closing to the end.
Yeah, it is. Those front two have been the ones we've been focusing on, really, and at no point this season has anyone else really been in contention for this championship, which is a little bit of a shame in some ways. But you know, we've seen an extraordinary battle between Olsen and Byfeld, as you say. That the first race at Montreal, I think, just underscored that a fortnight ago. Thought it was a brilliant fight, and in the end, Olsen come off second best from that pair of races, where he's a long way behind Byfeld. Now we are hearing from Linus Broström that there will be penalties applied properly for the final race of the season. We'll have the proper points and proper permutations as well. But he predicts that the gap is realistically somewhere between 23 and 27 points when you apply the penalties properly, as we will do. So that's still quite a big gap. What I'm saying is Olsen needs to gain points still tonight, I think, whether those penalties are going to draw him closer or not.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those things where he's won more races, but Byfeld's been a tiny bit more consistent over the course of the season. So we'll have to see how that one works out. 5 minutes ago in the qualifying session, half a second separating the two drivers. You may notice it's slightly damp out on the circuit. So there is a chance of rain. So there's rain quite a few hours ago. It's still a bit damp out there in some corners, especially in that infield section. You see some wetness on the inside curbs. As we get to the feature race, the chance of rain goes up dramatically as well. So maybe no rain on the forecast, just the dampness on the track. But for the second and final race, and importantly the reverse grid race as well, there could be a little bit of spice being added to that. Yeah,
absolutely. We will... I'm personally doubtful, but obviously I haven't seen the weather forecast for a little bit later on. And, you know, you could say this is a slightly rain-affected race anyway, because, as you notice very often in iRacing, the water does collect at the edges of the circuit and doesn't often go away very quickly, especially when the rain precedes a session by as much as it does in this instance. You can see on the outside of that curb there, it's, you know, dry tyres all round, of course, but those wet patches on the way towards some of these corners will make things very tricky, as you're seeing here.
And as the laps come in, Olsen goes 2/10 ahead of Byfeld. Sundström is very close in behind, and Finoli, Berntsson, Lindelof. So a lot of the ice-cold drivers there. And of course, you've got Vigaju and Sundström being nearly on pace. The teammates of Marcus Byfeld. It's been a bit of a battle between those two teams towards the front, and is nearly on pace, leading the Constructors' Championship as we stand. Byfeld there does another 0.8, so basically identical to his previous one, and it continues there in second place. But this is a close one. Look at the gaps that are coming in behind. We're already a second off the pace inside the top 10. We're just outside top 10, so it really is a few drivers at the front who are getting the best out of this Porsche Cup car.
Yeah, as you'd expect, as Oliver Hagström Vigaju comes to the line here, quite a few seconds down. He's going to be very, very important to Byfeld again here, as I've said throughout the season, for nearly on pace. It's been very difficult to overhaul ice cold racing with the season that they've had, and the amount of drivers that they've got, the amount of strong drivers up towards the front as well. This, by the way, is the best placed of the best of the rest, as it were. Oscar Berntsson only 17 points behind Tobias Olsen. If there's going to be a big shock and a big turnaround in the final 4 races, then you've got to say that Berntsson probably needs to win both races tonight, although Ice Cold Racing do seem to be putting everything behind Tobias Olsen. It appeared mostly to be the case at Montreal anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. It can turn around very quickly, and especially when you get the the drop rounds coming in. Even if the drivers who get a few good results, they lose their bad ones, they jump up quite a bit because they have less points to lose. Whereas the likes of Tobias Olsen and Marcus Byfeld, if every race is good, you basically have to have more points to lose when those get dropped, and that can really close things up. Talking of closing things up, 2 minutes to go in the session. Byfeld's got within 1/10 of a second of Tobias Olsen. And remember, we have 2 races tonight. We have a 21-minute sprint race, which is being governed by this qualifying session. And then we will have a reverse grid for the feature race. And that is going to be a whole load of fun to see the drivers come through and try to overcome the difficulties that come with that, of course. And we are seeing Finoli getting very close, just 1/10 off in that 3rd position.
Yes, it's pretty close. I say, we always talk about the top 2, but actually the rest of the field very, very close in behind at the moment. As we see Byfeld here coming around turn 4, just not running too wide because already hit too far to the inside, then coming through the second part of the corner as the circuit's still lined with water, then through the double left-hander, where he's got to be really careful of this bit here and not to just slide straight off the circuit. And then not to go too wide here either. On the other side of that curve, there is a lot of water, but he avoids it better this time round. Certainly better than the last time we saw it. We'll see now whether this is going to be a better lap time than Olsen. It's a decent first couple of sectors. There might be a chance for a change in pole position here.
There might just be a lot of water still out there sliding around, not using all of the curb as he gets out of the final corner up towards the line. Is it going to be pole position? It needs to be a 0.6, and he has done, and he's got it by less than 1/10 of a second. Marcus Byfeld, Tobias Olsen, I believe, is actually still out there on the circuit. Is there any final chance for him to overcome that with 20 seconds left, or is he too far away? No, he goes back to the pit lane. So Marcus Byfeld has stolen pole position there with just a few seconds remaining. His teammate Vigaju here in 5th position, just 3/10 of, he goes wide and is not going to be completing that lap, and therefore will be staying in his 5th position. Most of the drivers now going back to the pit lane, and it looks like qualifying is basically set here as we get towards round 9 of the season. It is going to be a very tough battle out there. The top 2 drivers in the championship getting themselves on the front row. Look, they've got some teammates to help them along the way. So it's Byfeld leading Tobias Olsen at the front, Finoli and Sundström on your second row, and Vigaju and Alexander Olsen rounding out the first page. Berntsson, Skagerston, Nordstrom, Hedlund and Lindelof have 5 cards in a row from Ice Cold Racing and their various divisions. Oliver Wallen will be in 12th, the first driver 1 second off the pace. Backman is in 13th with Baz, Sundell, Holmer, Motin and Lindberg, your top 18 drivers. Holmbaum and Forsen follow in behind for the top 20 with Ericsson, Strand, Vedestad and Jokka Frisk inside the top 24. Dowsund, Hockenschott, Uvenen, Gran and Bjorn Broström to 29, and Coulson, the last driver, inside the top 30. Loven, Svensson, Forsell, Knell, Norberg, Norgren inside your top 36. And in the final drivers on the grid, we've got Crook, Peninx, and Patrick Pfeffer not setting a lap at the back of the field. The drivers line themselves up for 21 minutes of action. And Ewan, do you reckon we can see a repeat of lap 1 back in Montreal?
Well, I hope so in some ways. Certainly the exciting battle between Byfeld and Olsen, but also this is just a very different racetrack to Montreal. It's pretty difficult to overtake around there, whereas it's a bit easier here. You don't have to put everything so much on lap 1 and 2, and that's, I think, what created that first lap battle quite so much, is the knowledge that it would be difficult to take the place again later. That knowledge and that belief is not going to be here tonight because the Red Bull Ring does offer more chances. So let's see. I think this should be a more open race after lap 1.
Green flag, green flag.
And it's round 9 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series. It is the Additon Vehicle Construction Grand Prix, and we're already side by side up towards the first corner. Olsen tries to make the move up the inside. Byfeld squeeze. Oh! Contact is made on the apex. We're going side by side. They keep themselves on the track, but what an opening sequence that was with 2x2s who work our way up the hill. It is nearly on pace versus ice cold as we work our way up towards turn 3. The first time of asking is Byfeld leading Olsen. Fernoli's going to the outside, almost trying to make it 3 wide in towards the braking zone, but Byfeld holds that inside line and will lead as we exit turn 3.
Oh, and Olsen goes very wide. He could get swallowed up now by a load of drivers who are in behind. Fernoli, oh, he's making contact with his teammate, and he was very nearly spun around there. And now one of them off the circuit to the side here. They've got really dangerous as there's water still either side. There's big contact. He's going to get swept up in this. Oh, it's a massive smash into turn 4. And somehow Olsen doesn't get turned around. He drops outside the top 10. It's going to be a massive moment in this championship, but it's not as disastrous as it could have been. And don't forget, this all started because of contact on a straight with his teammate.
There's so many ice-cold racing drivers who thought they would be almost helping his teammate, but in the end it was a bit of skittles, 10-pin bowling as we work our way out through the infield section. I think we've got Baz going off in the background, and this is just carnage. Oh, the 84's gone for a spin there as well. That is Tony Uvenen. He's been collected on the exit of the infield, and he's still off there in the gravel trap. The drivers trying to find themselves into a single file formation, but this could be big for the championship. Of course, it's just going to end up being one of his drop rounds. He's got one of these Sim Race Sweden cars getting tagged at the final corner.
And you see the danger of running wide here. Andres Bachmann going backwards in towards turn 1. Oliver Bohlin comes out the other side with this position, but Marcus Byfeld is out front by some way, and this could be crucial as far as the championship is concerned. Olsen has got to spend these minutes trying to gain as many of those positions back again as he possibly can, but that could be difficult. He's not quite in this group just yet, but he will close up because of this big fight.
The good thing for him is that he's got a lot of his teammates, which will obviously be easier overtakes, but Lindelof didn't give up the victory back at Montreal, so it's not going to be absolutely slam dunk. Let's see what we're going to see this time around, though. We've got Bachmann and Lindelof going side by side. It looks like the 119 should be there up the inside, gets that 5th position, and actually Lindelof's going to be under attack now from Nordstrom, but not enough to actually make the move down through turn 5 into 6. So that is a good job for Lindo to be able to hold on to that. Oh, more carnage down at turn 4. Which of the ice cold cars is the 777 machine who's gone down? That's Headland, who unfortunately is the victim, but there were 2 other drivers involved.
There's so much gravel on the circuit now. Look at this through here. It's unbelievable. The amount of gravel on the circuit being brought on from various drivers who have taken trips out wide. And of course, we don't need to stop the race, at least in sim racing, but it doesn't. It does still provide problems. Now, here's the final couple of corners again, and just going so slowly through here, and very wide as well. I think is it Bachmann again, or is it Skagerston this time round? Oh, and indeed, sliding going on. It's all happening back here. In fact, this is a little bit further down than that. And again, so much changing happening. It's been very, very chaotic first couple of laps, and this is sort of underscoring it all. I mean, they were never all going to fit through here, and I don't know what they're doing on the inside there, by the way, that eventually ends up causing the bowling down in towards turn 4. But it all started initially with Tobias Olsen getting half-turned by Elias Fernoli on a straight.
Which is just a crazy feature, but there's so many drivers there. Oh, that is how Uvenen got spun around. I couldn't quite see. Oh, there's a further car in the background. also who could be Forsell, because Forsell's got the meatball a little bit further back on us. Carlson, actually, who's actually got himself back up into 32nd place. He's not dead last after that spin. Oh, here's Olsen, just way too wide on the wet stuff. Almost collects on the ice cold cars, but not enough. Not close enough to be able to get too involved in that one. And oh my word, a send up the inside into the final corner. That's Cannell getting tagged. And that is how we saw a 3-car battle. I'll make it 4 in the final corner.
Yeah, there will definitely be damage there, you'd imagine.
Oh, that is too deep there from Foley, second place. He was lucky to get... Oh, it's the water that Olsen hit, but he's going to be losing just one position. Keeps it on the road. Oh, goes off wide again. He's gather it up. Further cars off in the background. Skaggerston too.
I mean, when will they learn that going wide there just sends you off the circuit? I know it's, you know, harder in reality. They all know that it will send them off, but it's startling the amount of drivers who do it. It's always the case here at the Red Bull Ring, by the way. If any of these guys have done any racing in the rain at this circuit, sort of ever, they will know that the final couple of corners get very, very treacherous on the outside, off the surface. But of course, he runs so commonly off the circuit at this racetrack. It means that it really get caught up by that. Finoli and Bohlin now make contact and turning underneath them both. Tobias Olsen, he's nearly hit by his teammate again here. Olsen through and Finoli tries to follow.
And I mean, Bohlin here, he's up. Well, he's up 8 places at one point. He's going to lose 2 of those. Will be to 6 places up. Look at all the cars in the background. They're all squeezing into each other. Oh, a bit of contact actually. That's Bohlin on the back of Finoli as Olsen got through up into 4th place. This is turning into a half decent race for Olsen, but he's not going to win as Byfell is 4 seconds up the way already. It does have quite a few minutes actually to get back up there, but I don't think he's going to be able to cover the gap. Might be able to get up into 2nd place at least. But these guys are taking absolute liberties today. Look at that, running wide again. But I think you're right, it's because in the dry, you just use all of the curb that you can around this track, but in the wet, you have to really change your braking points in your racing line.
Yeah, it's something you don't really think about either as well. I think people forget at this circuit how often you run off the circuit just in normal circumstances. This is what happened. Thomas Hedlund admittedly is steaming down the inside there anyway, but he just get turned into by somebody on the inside there, who I'm not sure saw that coming. And it's amazing that Olsen was caught up in that further. Oh no! Just behind Bohlin, Tom Nordstrom goes around, and look at that rejoin of the circuit right in front of a teammate as well. That wasn't very smart. Tom Nordstrom, though, will drop an awful long way back because of that, and the battle for 4th will continue with Olsen and Bohlin.
Yeah, small mistake, but big outcome as Finoli losing places. Oliver Wallen's had some issues as well. Was there contact between the two, maybe, up in towards turn 3? They were battling for position, but now Bagman's got through for 5th place. Wallen is dropping down. Is he able to hold this, though? As we come down towards turn 4, the 72, he's on the outside line. He's trying to think about going there. He's trying to keep his nose, actually, but no, in the end, he backs out of that one as Finoli drops down to 9th place at the end of it.
Yeah, so right in that midfield with all those teammates back there. Lindelof and Sundström, meantime, battle away for 2nd place. This is what happened to Nordstrom, who just hits the car in front of him and then gets helped all the way around by one of his teammates in behind there as well, who rejoins really badly back onto pit lane. Onto the racetrack, sorry, and that could have been worse. But Lindelof, meantime, gets down the inside of Sundström and goes through. That's nearly on pace, 1-2 over, at least for the moment. And Olsen's steaming in at the moment, trying to catch up in the next 30 minutes. He could actually rescue 2nd place, which would be a very good result out of this, but ideally he needed to outscore Byfeld tonight, and that's going to be more difficult now.
Same points for race 2 though, so even though the race is a bit longer and it's a reverse grid, it's the same points, so you never know what's going to happen in the traffic. We saw how chaotic that opening lap was with the reverse top 10. If Byfeld signed P10, you never know what is going to happen, but certainly a 31-minute race, plenty of time. Loven gets a black flag in the number 6 machine. Wallen and Bachmann continue their battle, so Bachmann had the place on the previous lap, but Wallen has retaken that position and up into 5th place. He's lost a lot of time. Alexander Olsen also getting a black flag. There's a lot of incident points already for these drivers coming in. But Wallen, I think, is gone really in terms of Olsen. Olsen has got into 4th place and he's going to pull away from these guys.
Yeah, so he's certainly going to be making a break for it now. And it didn't, to be fair, take him too long to get past either. So, he's clearly got the speed, and I don't think there's any question marks over that. It's just the opening lap that he'll be looking back on here. Wasn't maybe as decisive as he could have been when he was in that battle with Byfeld initially. He got shoved pretty wide through turn 3. That's what put him back into that situation with Finoli, who very nearly turned him as well. And then he got caught up in the absolute mess towards turn 4 that we saw on the opening lap. But as you say, there's a reverse grid to come here. And although it is only the top 10, it puts them right in that zone where the big incident of race 1 happened.
And in terms of the championship, so Olsen has won 4 races, Byfeld 3. So this will put him level in terms of wins as well, which would be a bit crucial in terms of any sort of countback if we get to a tie break situation. So that is going in the favour of Marcus Byfeld, who is leading the championship and leading the race. Backman gets the run as we work away through turn 2. Up the hill, he's gone to the outside line. Oliver Bohlin on the inside with the Polski Logistics entry, but easily is able to cover that one off. Does he get the run though? The issue for him is Finoli is coming back. We know Finoli, he's got the speed to be up there a little bit higher than this, so he probably has the speed to overtake them. Backman is putting a big load of pressure on him. Down in towards turn 4 they go, to the outside line. Oliver Wallen continues to hold the inside to defend, but he has to be able to get the run on the exit. He just about gets it stopped, and actually Backman's gone wide. That's going to allow Finoli to close up.
Well, he can't go on the inside though because the water's there, and he's going to look again to the inside for the next corner, but that's not going to happen either. And Backman goes pretty deep into the next left-hander, but it's going to be able to pull that back in time. And again, the racing line gets so narrow here with the water that collects on the outsides of corners, just over the other side of curbs, really. It's not really on the racetrack at all, but as I said earlier, you use so much of the off-circuit tarmac around here that you notice it a lot more at the Red Bull Ring than you do at some other venues, and here is a prime example of that. Watch out for them starting to learn that now. Oh, albeit in the background, a big spin from Daniel Holmer, or at least a big slide, and there goes Backman straight in that water I was talking about.
Wow, there's so much of a sin. I don't think it was Holman. I think it was actually further behind. I think it was
you're right.
Or Sundell. It was one of the ice cold cars. We're actually almost 4 wide in behind as we're trying to see Matt Strand and Vigashu go side by side in towards the first corner. And Vigashu does get that move, squeezes, hip checks him out the way. Strand loses that position. And look at this. It's 4v1, nearly on pace versus ice cold. And Vigashu is trying his best to keep that inside line as we work our way up towards the third corner. We're 2 by 2. While the teammates up ahead of Skaggerson and Sundell. 3 wide, we're going towards the braking zone, and Vigashu's got both of them, as that is issues for Ice Cold Racing. 3 wide, they go on the exit.
Well, they chased each other so hard to the inside of the road there that they weren't really concentrating on where they should have been braking, and they didn't make the corner. Never mind the driver who was poorly on the outside of them and just forced off with them. I think that was Sundell, was it, who was forced off with them? Was it somebody else? But they had no regard for where the corner was, really, and certainly no regard for the driver on the outside. Obviously, Vigashu's fighting a difficult battle here amongst a lot of teammates, and obviously he's on the team of the current race leader as well, as he goes down the inside to try and shore up a bit of security in this top 10. Of course, where the reverse grid happens, that's a nice move down the inside, but he's on the outside for the final 2 turns.
Oh, this is brave. This would be 3 moves in 1 lap. If Vigashu can make it, he's going to get squeezed outside. We've seen the treachery out there. Oh, they give each other space. Look at that respectful racing into the final corner, though, all the way around the outside for Vigashu. Oh, he gets stuck on the water, though. Look how much time he's going to lose. But Skaggerson gets a black flag. He gets 1 too many incident points there, and unfortunately is going to be losing out. Look at the 4-5 cars that are going to surround Vigashu here in towards the first corner. It's an absolute swarm of bees as they work their way up the hill now. Oscar Motin getting a black flag. So many drivers getting off track and incident points that are adding up now.
You say it's 1 too many, but these 8 minutes from the end, it's not like he was very close to making it. He's got that very, very early, and that's because of the race that we've seen so far and how easy it is to run off the circuit here. More teammate contact. A lot of Hakshan Vigashu is going to benefit from that this time and get ahead of Matt Strand, it looks like, who he's side by side with. Don't forget, he will be promoted 1 place here anyway, so this could be a battle for 11th here down the inside at turn 4. Skaggerson has got that black flag. So can Vigashu just... yes, he can. Well, he didn't give much room there either. So there's not much room being given to those on the outside here, which, again, is a product a bit of this circuit. That was a bit rude, really, on Matt Strand.
Yeah, yes, definitely. I mean, I don't think any of these drivers, especially for Ice Cold, care about their teammates. Oh, as one of them goes spinning off, there's Lindbergh, who's gone around the 741 machine, leading that little bit of a train, little bit of a battle, got to the front, but in the end, loses the rear end as we work our way through the infield section, through turn 8. That is not an ideal place to spin either. That's a fast one, as there it goes into the black flag, into the pit lane to serve the black flag, is Skaggerson. Here's Lindbergh, he just went way wide, way wide. Got caught on the less grippy part of the track, loses the rear end. Couldn't see from that angle if he hit the wall, but there was a lot of room there, so he should just about be okay. We come back to Oliver Wallen. So Finoli is there right in front of him as he's got past Backman and Wallen. So he's got back up into 5th place. He's got the 2 drivers in the previous couple of laps, and now he's got Wallen trying to chase him back down.
Yeah. And this is the battle for the last spot inside the top 5. So it's going to be fiercely contested, you'd imagine, as this one will be as well. Samuel Lindlow has not really been able to get away from Mikael Sundström since he passed him quite a few minutes ago. So the battle for second behind Byfeld will also be a big one. And unfortunately for Lindlow, maybe Tobias Olsen hasn't really been able to close in very much. So what would I think be a loss of 7 points as far as pure race points are concerned. A loss of 7 points for Olsen, which he's got to not only replicate but actually do better than on Byfeld in race 2, I think, to have any chance of the title in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, he needs to be gaining points because as it stands, it's going to be somewhere around 25 points once the penalties are applied properly in standings. So that's a lot. That's a half a race win. So he needs to be gaining. Marcus Byfeld is doing everything that he can to hold on to this one as well, especially the pole position bonus points. So that, and I wonder if he's going to get a 0x race because he's been out the front on his own. Oliver Wallen's had a spin at the final corner up ahead. But I do just wonder if there's a 0x possibility for Marcus Byfeld. So Wallen has dropped down to P8. He's lost position to Dan Holmer, who's now in the back of Backman. Backman's gone off Finoli, so I wonder if there was a little bit of a tussle there into the final corner between Wallen and Backman. But either way, Holmer is catching up, and he's having a little bit of a resurgence after being quiet in the mid part of this race. Yeah,
on that 0x, by the way, for Byfeld, as we see Wallen here, following the driver in front, and very nearly, he does hit the wall just slightly, but again, that's the outside the final corner that you just cannot touch, but some of these drivers won't learn. I think he might have probably got an instant point for his initial side-by-side battle with Olsen, to be honest. They were leaning on each other so much, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's found himself off the road at some point, so I'd be a little bit surprised if I'm honest, but as you say, Byfeld has been out front on his own for so long that if he did get through that opening lap, he'd be disappointed not to get the 5 bonuses for 0x because he hasn't been near anybody.
And 5 is a lot. 5 is a lot, especially when it's points per position, basically, and that's 5 positions that you'd gain. If you do that, 2-3 times over the season, bear in mind we have 12 races across the season. If you do that 2 times, which I'd say is somewhat realistic, especially for someone like Byfeld who leads a lot of races, that is a lot of points to gain. That's 10 positions coming in towards the final race of the season. That is a lot. So let's see if he was able to do that. We won't find out though, because there's still 3.5 minutes to go, and it's still a treacherous race out there where it is basically dry, but there's the odd wet patch that can still catch you out.
Yeah, Linus has just messaged me, by the way. Byfeld has got 1x from lap 1, as you'd expect. So, yeah, as you say, you're right. It's not unreasonable to expect him to do it twice over the course of the season or so. But today is not one of those days. At least race 1, I'd be gobsmacked if he does it in the reverse grid race as well. As Tony Evening plays with fire on the exit there, just running a little bit wide, all the way down back in the pack. We don't get to see these guys very often, but there are a lot of people in this race. We mentioned at the opening round of the season in Watkins Glen what a massive field it was of 60 drivers. Admittedly, that has come down a bit, but still 39 started this race.
Yeah, 60 is a bit overkill. I mean, I'm really glad that we have so many drivers passionate to sign up to these championships, but 60 drivers on the same track and fighting for the same, it's not like it's different classes. That is a lot, and certainly had its dramas, but yeah, anywhere over 30 is still a very solid and, solid amount, and definitely enough cars out on the track to provide us with some action. We have just over 2 minutes remaining, so a couple of laps to go, and we're now looking at Johnny Sundell was one of the drivers who was forced out up at turn 3 bits of a time ago now, but Bohlin has got through, Bohlin is ahead of him because he made that mistake, and now Svenska is trying to get through. He's got Berntsen on the back, who's 3rd place in the championship, remember, and he's going to be losing a lot of points this race in his somewhat close battle with Olsen up in 4th.
Yeah, I think Olsen is going to finish 4th. Unfortunately for him, he's not quite going to get there in time, but this battle behind, this sort of fringe into the top 10 battle has just been restless throughout this race, really has been, and has maybe calmed down a little bit in these final 5 minutes. Bohlin is still defending. This is, of course, for a good position off the start of race 2. The thing you don't want massively here, if you're one of these 3, is to go off in a crash between the pair of you, but you do want to get as best qualifying position as you can for the next race. As Svenska looks around the outside, Bohlin holds on again for 8th position as another load of gravel has been heaped onto that corner there.
We're almost rally driving at this point with the amount of debris that we see there. Less than minutes go now in this race, and it has certainly been a chaotic one to open the evening, and there might be some more rain coming our way. Round 9 of the season, the Svenska Eracingligan's road course series, the Additon Vehicle Construction Grand Prix has hit final lap time for the leaders, so everyone else will be starting their final lap now. Final opportunity to try and find a way through, and look how close these battles remain.
Now this is going to be the one to watch on the final lap, as those on the outside looking in here, those final 2 of this 5, Strand and Oliver Hagström Vigersjö, who've come into contact themselves tonight. They're going to be looking for a good starting position for race number 2. It's a good run from Oliver Hagström Vigersjö, actually out of turn number 1 as well. And as I say, these 2 have made contact before. Matt Strand has been on the receiving end before here. So let's see what happens now. Coming down in towards, or up in towards turn 3 again. Late on the brakes from both of them. Oh, they just about stop it in time and continue their fight behind the 3 who are still inside the top 10 and looking more safe now in the top 10.
This one's not over those who work our way down the hill in towards a tricky braking zone at turn 4. The track falls away from you. There's opportunities to try and brake late, but it looks like Vigersjö is going to try it around the outside. He's thinking about it. He's getting squeezed out towards the curb. He just about keeps himself on the track as Strand holds on up towards turn number 6. This is another opportunity. He's got the inside line as well. They brake almost identically down in towards that final corner, and he's going to have to squeeze, but we'll go up to the front very quickly because Marcus Byfeld has dominated this race. And after that lap 1 kerfuffle with Olsen getting tagged out of the way, he's had an easy race and he wins round 9 of the season, his 4th race victory, and he is comfortably in the championship lead. Lindelof will be 2nd place and Sundström in 3rd, but a little bit further down we're looking at Bohlin holding on to 8th position. The drivers in the background, looks like Vigersjö completed the move on Matt Strand as that took 3-4 corners to complete, and as we come out of the final corner he will come across the line in 11th position, so he just misses out on that reverse grid top 10 for race 2, so it'll be Berntsen on pole. And come a little bit further back, and the 101 of Hagen Schott in the infield section has gone off the track. Big damage here on the final lap.
Yeah, unsure as to how he's managed that. It's very plausible he's found that on his own, by the way, coming out of turn 7, because you can run wide there into the wet and spin off to the inside, the other side of the circuit. Oh no, it's a teammate, but oh no! A teammate returning to the circuit badly has put Hagen Schott in the wall. He'll be very disappointed about. I mean, who rejoins like that? First of all, he's not even in control of his car as well. Schott, to be fair, could have slowed down a bit, but he sped into the accident, and that driver just wobbling onto the circuit. I mean, that is just weird, and not the place to rejoin either. Certainly not the place to rejoin at those couple of corners.
As we saw an awesome battle at the end there. I think Pfeffer was involved. Didn't quite see the other driver. Pontus Norgren having some issues here. Oh, that is so close to a save and almost big contact with, I think, Jocke Frisk coming through in the background. So even the drivers a little bit further down having some mental battles out here at Austria, the Red Bull Ring. For round 9 of the season. That was quite something. A little bit calm for the driver at the front of Marcus Byfeld, but in behind him, all sorts of chaos. Marcus Byfeld also getting the fastest lap on number 14, the final lap of the race. Marcus Byfeld, nearly on pace, won the race, and it was Lindelof second to get 2 podiums in a row, and then Sundström rounding out the podium. Olsen, Finoli, Backman, Holmer inside your top 7 with Bohlin, Sundell and Berntsen, the final drivers who will be reversed and getting towards the front of the field for the second race. And what a little battle that was at the end, but it was Vigaju who is going to be in 11th place at the end, unfortunately just missing out on the reverse grid pole. Matt Strand was the driver that he overtook, and Hampus Bas just a couple of seconds behind. Nordstrom and Ericsson are your top 15 with Limburg, Gran, Skagsen, Hedlund and Jocke Frisk there at the end. Final drivers within a minute of the lead was Holmbaum and Vedestad. Bjorn Broström, Oscar Motin, Carlson, Crook, Uvenen, Norberg, Dahlstrand and Leuven, your top 30. A lot of drivers still remaining on the lead lap, to be honest, considering the situation out there on the track. That was quite difficult. In 14 laps, not enough to get too many drivers a lap down. Then we had Kinnell, Norgren and Pfeffer, your final drivers on the lead lap, with Schott, Svensson, Pennings, Forsberg, Olsen and Forsell finishing laps down and having multiple issues in that one. Certainly a very interesting evening of racing, but we have one more race coming your way. The feature race is coming up soon, and after these messages, we'll get you set for the reverse grid. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to the Red Bull Ring. It is the Additon Vehicle Construction Grand Prix, and we just had the sprint race, and Marcus Byfeld took victory, his 4th win of the season here in round 9 of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series, using the Porsche Cup this time around. And so far in the 9 races, we've had 4 wins now from Marcus Byfeld. It's 4 from Tobias Olsen and the 1 single win from Samuel Lindelof as well. 3 races remain in the season, 1 more tonight coming your way, the reverse grid feature race, where we will reverse the top 10 of the result of the sprint race. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we go to Donington Park for the final event of this season, and we will be crowning our champion. But to be honest, Marcus Byfeld, Ewan, he's got one hand on that trophy. He already had about a 25-point lead, and he certainly extended that just a little bit more.
He certainly did, and through not really any, I mean, of his own doing, yes, on lap number 1, through turn 1, he squeezed as much as possible, and how, by the way, we kind of glossed over it because of everything else that happened on lap 1, how the two of them got through turn 1 on such a tight line like that without crashing into each other or having a major problem was incredible for a start. Second of all, he did have to fend him off in towards turn 3 and pushed him just wide enough that was legal, but also put him into that danger zone in the first place, Tobias Olsen. So, yeah, I think this is absolutely advantage by Byfeld, because coming into tonight, to be honest, I thought Olsen had to outscore him in both races. Now the situation is he certainly has to outscore him in this one, but even if he finishes first with Byfeld in second, Byfeld has a net gain on the day. And that is that's no good, really, given the gap that currently exists between the two. It's got to be closer than that going into the final race, in my mind, for Olsen, because Byfeld's just been too consistent so far this season to slip up.
Certainly. If we look at the bonus points as well, Olsen has 3, where Byfeld has 12. So you get an extra point for the pole position, extra point for the fastest lap. You get 5 extra points if you do a 0x race as well. And Byfeld's got 12 to Olsen's 3. So that just shows the consistency. And one very interesting stat that we have on our results system as well is the amount of incident points. And Olsen has had 100 over the course of the season, where Byfeld on 53. A lot of the drivers are somewhere between 50 and 100, so Byfeld way on the bottom end of that scale, and Olsen towards the top. So that definitely shows you the type or the style of racing that each driver has.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, it's been an unbelievable season, really. You look at, and we talked a little bit about it in the last race, the amount of drivers in this field, 60 cars for the first round and still nearly 40 for this one. You just look at that and you think this is going to be such an unpredictable season of, people winning all over the place. In fact, it's all been about Byfeld and Olsen at the front of the field. To have 2 drivers dominate like this in such a wide open season with so many people here is pretty amazing in itself as well. And yeah, it just has been an unbelievable season. So thoroughly enjoyable, but it's starting to go towards Byfeld as far as this championship is concerned. I still think, though, we're going to have to see a good race in isolation here. Whether this is going to be another one of those races like we saw with Lindlow last time, whether somebody else can win a race, I think a lot remains to be seen there. But you never know. The reverse grid chances where the reverse grid race is where the chance is, anyway.
Indeed. So the top 10 will be reversed after the result of the sprint race, and then we'll go racing once more for 30 minutes again. 30 minutes plus 1 lap. So it is going to be plenty of opportunities for these drivers to work their way to the front. It's going to be about 20 laps or so out there on the circuit. We are expecting rain. So rain is forecast, and you never know if that includes a pit stop. Let's see the grid, though, for this feature race. Berntson's going to be on pole, 3rd place in the championship coming into this evening. Sundell, his teammate, alongside him. Bohlin and Holmer will be there on the 2nd row, with Backman and Finoli your top 6. Olsen will start there in 7th place, with Sundström alongside him, Lindelof and Byfeld the top 10 reversed. Vigaju and Strand just missing out on the reverse, as we'll let all the other drivers roll their way through, because it is just the result now from the feature, or the sprint race, I should say. In this feature race, slightly longer, so it gives time for these drivers to work their way up. We have seen a double victory as well this season for Byfeld, so we need to see basically if we're going to be getting that one again. Olsen as well in the first round of the season. Lights come on, and we are ready to go racing round 10 of the Svenska Eracingligan's Road Course Series, the Additon Vehicle Construction Grand Prix. Vetterstad gets black flagged already, must be jumping the start at the front. It looks like he's going to be holding on to the lead, but now Oliver Bohlin round the outside for 2nd place. Sundell is going to drop a position already in that first corner as Backman tries to get Holmer, and he does so. There's already contact in the background, Jukka Frisk going off, but up the front we are single file.
Yeah, a lot more single file than what we saw in race number 1, that's for sure. If Berntson can run away quickly, he might have a chance of winning this race, clear of the big favourites as they're stuck in the midfield. Byfeld still having gone nowhere so far. He's stuck with his teammates back here. Oliver Haxenvizu gets past him indeed, as there's finally a spin. It happens further down the field this time, but it's through turn 3 and it's still going on the straight towards 4.
And Hampus Baz, I think, was the one who spun around. It was a car park down at turn 4. This is big issues for these drivers further back. So many drivers squeeze at each other up there towards turn 3, trying to make some moves, but everyone towards the front is holding on nicely. Byfeld's made 1 position up to 9th, but Tobias Olsen, he's got 3 places up to 6th.
Well, this is a good start for Ice Golf Racing, with Byfeld sort of stuck back there, with Olsen, to be fair, hasn't moved up too far, but look at the amount of teammates that he's got around him. Finoli again, the one immediately behind him. More looks down the inside, this time from Olsen on Daniel Holmer. Coming into the final couple of corners, that was nice and cleanly done.
Yes, of course, Finoli just holding on there at this moment in time. Oh, we've had a big issue there. Burnton's gone. Burnton has gone from position. Look how many drivers are going to get past him as well. It's the whole top 10. Even more than that, he's going to be at sort of P12, P13 by the end of this. Bohlin leads as we enter lap number 2. Oh, contact is made. The Simrace Sweden car of Dan Holmer goes off to the side, and these guys do not stop battling.
Well, Olsen is the one who's really gaining here, and Lindlow's going to give him a hard time on the way towards, so's Byfeld on the way towards the turn 3. In fact, that's Lindlow being given a hard time by Byfeld, I should say, and that's teammates at play here. Lindlow still staying firm on the inside there. Bohlin now the new race leader with Sunderland Bachmann fighting. Maybe he can get away, but that was a golden opportunity, perhaps Bernstein's best chance all season of winning a race, and it ended very, very quickly.
Indeed, that is not a good time to do it. Olsen's going to go up into third place here. His teammate Sindal's going to drop in behind. So Olsen, I'll tell you what, Olsen's favourite to win this race at this point in time, because Byfeld is still working his way through. He gets Finoli in the background. So Olsen is Byfeld is the lead nearly on pace car. He's got his two teammates of Sundström and Vigaju in behind. Finoli is just splitting them up in a line. So nearly on pace. Remember, they are going for the team's championship as well. This is what we saw. That's Hampus Baz making a bit of contact, one of the Clutch Club cars. Further contact was made. Everyone trying to find a space to get around them. There's an absolute car park as they sit there waiting for an opportunity to get back going.
That's what happens on lap 1, unfortunately, through turn 3. This is Christopher Crook through the final turn. Again, if you just go a little bit too wide, you'll be very easily in the wall. And he's not going to be the only one. Oh dear, that's Christian Loving getting spun around. Almost looked like a targeted attack there through turn 3. And that's the result. Bachmann still doing a good job of defending here for Oliver Bohlin. Not sure if intentionally or not, but he might have a slowdown. He completely stops, letting loads of drivers through. Olsen to second, Lindlow in front of Sundo now. Oh, Olsen goes wide. Again, another mistake through turn 3 that could be costly.
Yeah, definitely a slowdown. Bachmann was way off the track in the picture-in-picture off of turn 1. We got the teammates Lindelof and Olsen. We saw them batting for the lead back in Montreal. Lindelof was not having it, given the win to his teammate. He's going for this. And after a win in the feature race last time, the next feature race following, he's going to go for this again. Side by side they remain. I love the fact that the teammates are batting, but what is allowed is Marcus Byfeld to close up. He's now in 4th place. He's right behind Tobias Olsen. And the championship fight is going to go down to the wire. I say that though, Sundell diving up the inside, making contact with the championship leader, but not enough to cause any problems.
Yeah, it was barely leading on him, and Byfeld gets away with that 4th position, which is where Olsen finished, don't forget, in race 1. So Ice Cold Racing will want to keep him at there or lower so that they can sort of cancel this round out and move on to the next one with themselves still in the game. Although, again, it would be a mountain to climb for Tobias Olsen, and in the background Sundo's now going to be attacked by Bachmann, so that's going to be it for Marcus Byfeld. He's going to be confirmed 4th now because of this battle here, confirming it. Bachmann goes through, and here comes Mikael Sundström as well.
Yeah, what up and under there by Sundström. He just used the gap that was made by Bachmann going through, and Sundell was not able to close that gap. Sundström is not over yet, though, because Finoli is pushing his teammate in towards the braking zone, but a bump drafting up towards turn 3. Sundström still has that inside line that should just about hold on, and yeah, it is going to be Finoli dropping back with Sundell. Well, a big Sundström there, a big crossover to the left-hand side. He's trying to get Bachmann. He's trying to make this 2 positions in one straight. The first corner, he was able to complete the move. Is he able to do so in the second corner? Not quite. Oh, Bachmann squeezes him wide. Way too late on the brakes. Sundell is going to go through, and Bachmann, we're 4 wide, because we're also seeing Vigaju come through and Finoli dropping down too.
Oh dear, through the stones as well. Got to be careful on the inside line, but they'll get away with it. Bachmann, to be fair to him, did give that place back fair enough, but he went very deep there and lost them all positions on the inside line. So, well, it's not ideal for anybody, really, in this massive group from 5th place on back. The battles continue. 3 wide, indeed, in the background. I think that was going to be for 9th place, including Oscar Bernton. No, it's not quite 3 wide, but again, side by side all the way through. Oh, into the final couple of corners. Finoli goes off.
Wow, every single lap. Oh, big send up the inside in towards the final corner. Every single lap someone is going off here. We're almost 4 wide coming up towards turn 1. This is absolutely crazy as these guys try and find some position on the track. There's Byfeld going wide. He's trying to get Lindlow. And Oliver Wallin's trying to hold on to the lead. Oh my God, Marcus Byfeld might get the lead here. He's got the outside line with 3 wide working away through turn 2. This is insane. We've got Byfeld, Olsen, Wallin, 3 wide. We've got Lindelof pushing his teammate up in towards turn 3. Wallin's on the inside line, but Olsen is going to nab the lead as he work our way through the apex, and on the outside Byfeld tries to find some space.
Great driving there from Lindlow to give Olsen the push that he needed, but Byfeld's coming up on the way towards turn 4. He's going to go from the outside. Is he going to switch? No, he'll properly go for this. Outside at turn 4, he's got to be careful he doesn't get edged out by Olsen, who misses the apex here, and Byfeld does get the space just about. He's shoved into the water, but that's not against the rules by any means. Here comes Byfeld again on the outside line through the left-handers, and Wallin side by side with Lindlow means that there's going to be no interference from behind. Byfeld's going to maybe have a chance at the next left-hander. No, this is going to be a great battle between the 2 championship rivals again.
And the cream always rises to the top. You give them just 8 minutes of racing and they get themselves back into a 1-2 situation, and they are going to have a big fight. This is not just for a race win, this is for a championship. Finoli thinks about going down the inside of Wallin, not quite enough for 3rd place. In the background we also have Sundell and Vigaju batting. We've split up into a couple of 2x2 battles, it seems, inside the top 8, because Bernson is also fighting, but actually Backman has just dropped off a little bit. Olsen leads across the line, 23 minutes to go, but Byfeld is covering him off towards the inside. They move back to the racing line. This is going up and under. Byfeld is going to have the lead as Olsen chunks the curb. He hasn't got the run.
And this could create a massive battle for the lead here. He's got, for the first time this season as well, not the immediate assistance of his teammate Lindlow. And Wallin's going to try and take them both. Oh, he's on a super tight line there, coming up towards turn 3. Does he commit to this? He's still alongside Byfeld, who's going to go, whoa, Olsen switches underneath them both. And here, all of a sudden, it turns back to Ice Cold Racing. Olsen to the lead. Lindlow's in this 3 wide now as well.
And Byfeld's going to drop 3 places here. This is insane. So Lindlow's the car on the very inside. Wipers are out. I think there's a bit of rain. Wallin, full lock up. He's not going to make the corner. And yes, there's definitely some rain coming out there on the track that is getting more slippy, and they're losing some lap time, it seems. But let's see how this one continues, if it gets worse as the race goes on. Big send to the inside from Lindelof on Byfeld. There's going to be contact there. Is Byfeld going to make the corner? Lindelof squeezing him out off onto the run off there. That is a very dangerous move, but they just about keep on the track.
Yeah, got away with it there. Oh, and very wide. Byfeld's immediately going to get the place back unless Lindlow turns across him. Oh, my word, they get away with it. Again, he's in the wet stuff, and it sort of brings an argument as to where the edge of the circuit actually is here, because you can push someone off to the side of the circuit, not off the track, but in the water, that renders them unable to get the place you're fighting for. Oh, and he's slowing down for the final corner now as well. He's been hit by Byfeld, and around he goes. Will Byfeld come into any trouble for that with the stewards, I wonder, as there was contact, although Lindlow, to be fair to Byfeld, was slowing down himself.
Yeah, that was all playing games for his teammate. Lindelof played the game, but it didn't work out. He tried to go slow on the exit to make the gap from Olsen, but it didn't work out. He got hit, and that was all his own, bringing no fault on Byfeld there from what we could see. Vigaju's got up into 3rd place now. Sundell and Bernson. I remember Bernson had pole position. He went off. He dropped down outside the top 10, and now he's trying to come back and trying to get up into 4th place. And that would be, but Sundell holds that position. Backman and Nordstrom. But you see, he just doesn't accelerate off the corner. Absolutely does not accelerate off the corner, and I wouldn't be surprised by the way he was batting on that lap if that was basically trying to force a gap ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be one of those that require an investigation bigger than what we can do here just by watching replays. As Oliver Harkson Vigaju, who's been so important in providing Marcus Byfeld with a bit of security in this race, now drops back into the pack. So Sundell and Bernson now passed, but Byfeld is also clear of the group here, so he should be feeling pretty comfortable with the position he currently finds himself, and will now try and chase Olsen. But rain may well be a factor in this race. At 15 minutes into this race, or just before, by the way, the chances of rain is approaching 1/3, a 1 in 3 chance. By the end of the race, it will be over 90%. However, I should say that I once did a race at Road America that had 99% chance of rain for the last half an hour, and it never rained. So you just never know what can happen with this weather system. It's what makes it so great. It's not a guarantee at all that it will rain at all.
Let's see how this one finishes, because I think we got enough carnage out there on the track, let alone for adding in some rain to that. Bachmann has got the inside line as you work away in towards turn 3. Is he going to be able to make that move on Burnson? It might just be enough, you know. Burnson is going to be wide. He's going to have those gold wheels and not be able to hold on. Actually, I say that. Bachmann left him the room on the outside. That was very polite considering what we've seen before. And Bachmann does not get that move. Burnson holds on.
Yeah, it's amazing that he's back in the top 5, Burnson, after his mistake earlier that saw him go from the lead to outside the top 10 very, very quickly. He'll probably still be kicking himself over that, because in fairness, the way this race has evolved, maybe he wouldn't have won anyway, with Olsen and Byfeld getting clear with more than 20 minutes to go. Nevertheless, that was his best chance, I think, of the season to actually win a race. Unfortunately, that is not going to happen, you wouldn't imagine, without some major intervention, some major difficulties here for those around him, but fighting on anyway. It's in behind, or in ahead of Andreas Bachmann, I should say. There goes Oliver Hodgson Viggy having a look at the inside of Johnny Sundell, who he was recently passed by after his mistake, looking to get back into the podium places.
And how, I mean, I was thinking of what you just said about Burnson, easy, you know, best chance to win maybe an easy win, but the fact that Olsen and Byfeld worked their way to these positions, they probably would have got through at some point anyway. But then if Burnson held the lead and there wasn't the issues, then who knows how it would have been. These guys just love fighting, and it has splintered a bit at the front, but we still have a big group here fighting. Olsen has got away by over a second. Byfeld is closing him in. Then 3.8 seconds back, we have this battle. Sundell, Viggy diving it to the inside, up towards turn 3. This is for our podium place. He's got that inside line. Can he keep it on the exit? Yes, he can. There's actually going to be Burnson there, who's then going to get up the inside of his teammate. Down the hill we go towards turn number 4, and Viggy is going to be holding on to that 3rd position. He dives to the inside with 3 wide in towards the braking zone. Someone's going to have to back out of this. Viggy is going to hold the inside. Burnson's in the middle, and it looks like it's going to have to be Sundell, who loses 2 places. It might be a 3rd with Bachmann.
Very nearly forced off the road there, but just about giving each other the room required through turn 4. There goes Oliver Hodgson Viggy again, down the inside on Burnson, who is going to be, just shoved out wide there through the double left-hander. So secure in 3rd place now, but this is all they're going to get. The main 2 are out front, and they're running away quickly now because of this fight.
They certainly are, and that just shows you why in the early part of the race, Olsen and Byfeld were able to work their way up, because I was battling ahead. Everyone slows themselves down. They work their way through. Now that they've got away and there's no slowing down, they are just going to pull away. 4.5 seconds it is as we get to half race distance. I tell you what, Byfeld is there. He's battling for the lead. He's going for it in towards turn number 1. He was 1.5 seconds behind just 2 laps ago. I think he's way faster at this point. Olsen not able to have the speed that Byfeld did, but I guess Byfeld did get the pole position as well. He's got the run as we work our way through the 2nd corner, but he's got the outside line for the hairpin. That is not going to work. Olsen surely going to shove him wide. We've seen this aggressive style of racing for Olsen all season. And here comes the rain. Here comes the rain as the battle for the lead goes on. We've got contact between the 2 leaders as we work our way down the hill.
Yeah, and he's going to shove him all the way to the left-hand side here, and watch out for this bit of water on the left as well. Oh, he's going to have to go straight through it, and he knows that he's just going to have to edge himself out towards the right now. As Olsen holds the inside, he locks over a bit on the inside. Byfeld's going to turn underneath him here, and he's going to be on the outside again for the double left-hander. Might not be the worst thing in the world for Olsen, who again squeezes towards the wet circuit on the outside here. Through the double left-hander, he's going to cover the inside. Look at Byfeld trying to turn underneath him. The gravel on the outside not making life any easier. The rain properly starting to come down here with more than 15 minutes to go. Will it force them into a tyre change?
That's what I was thinking. Who wants to go bold and go onto the wet tyres? To the outside it's going to be for Byfeld. What a battle for the lead we're seeing here from the 2 championship rivals side by side in towards the penultimate corner. That's surely just to try and slow down Olsen, and yes it is. And we continue on as the laps go on. They'll get slower and slower as the grip reduces. But does it get to a point? There are some drivers in the pit lane a little bit further back. They're taking the risk, but for the leaders, they got the track position. Do they think they can stay out there? I guess we have to see how heavy it gets, but at some point you're going to have to commit with such a long time in the race to go. You know, about 10 laps. In 10 laps, if you're losing, 5-10 seconds a lap, it's worth making a pit.
You've got to go longer than this. You can get away with a lot more rain before you change. Oh, that was late defence. A very late defence from Tobias Olsson this time. And he absolutely can't afford another penalty this season, Olsson. Otherwise, he will make it an even more difficult situation when it comes to next week and indeed the week after, and the championship finale from Donington Park. It's almost a carbon copy on the way down towards turn 4 this time. Tobias Olsson on the inside. This time Byfeld doesn't try to turn underneath him, as Olsson suspected he might. He goes right round the outside instead, and he's going to take the lead, you'd imagine, through the double left-hander.
Contact again between the championship rivals. Olsson's going to hold it there. He has to back out of that one. The outside of this corner here at turn 7 is not where you want to be. Olsson thinks about ascent to the inside of 8, but backs out of that one once again. And Byfeld has worked his way through to the lead of the race. He won race 1. Therefore, he started in 10th place. And now, after just half race distance, he's back into the lead. Not raining at this point of the track, but then it is into the final corner. They're catching up to some back markers though who are on the wet tires, so this might be a good indicator as to what lap times we're roughly seeing. They're only about 2 seconds off the pace so far, so they should be okay. We'll keep an eye on what the drivers who pit are doing.
Yeah, it's impossible to know really comparing these two's times to those behind, but last time round Oscar Bernstein was a 32.8, which is close to the best lap we've seen so far in this race, at least from him, close to a personal best. So I don't think there's anything wrong with these dry tyres at the moment. Keep them on for now, and for a while indeed, keep them on. Oh, here comes Olsson. I'm not sure he was intending to make the move initially, but he has gone for it. Down the inside of Byfeld, who's always going to get the traction on the outside fair through turn 3, and so he will keep the lead.
Oh my word. The door was left open by Byfeld. I think Byfeld thought he could brake late enough, but in the end, he couldn't. And now Olsson going to the outside of turn number 4. This is getting so close. A little bit more contact between the leaders. The rain is getting worse and worse. We're seeing in the picture-in-picture, there's more battles a bit further down. Drivers trying to find some space out there on the track. Lindelof diving up the inside of Sundström. I think this is for 9th and 10th position. Side by side we go, but this is getting so close. Up in towards turns number 7, and he's going to have the inside line once again, but round the outside for Lindelof. He's already won a race this season. He was aggressive against his teammate Olsson. He wants to go racing, but he can't get through.
Well, it's again off of the double left-hander. They're still absolutely side by side, just approaching over 10 seconds off the lead now, these two, as they continue on with this side-to-side contact again. Sundström forced out wide. Lindelof takes 9th for now, at least, in this battle. There goes Olsson, top of your screen, for the lead of the race on Byfeld at an unusual place, turn 1.
And is there going to be a slowdown there? Was it wide enough for Byfeld? Side by side we go. Olsson very aggressive. He's doing everything he can to slow Byfeld down and not let him get away. I think Byfeld's a slightly faster driver by the way he caught up with side by side in towards turn number 3, and Olsson should have that one completed. That was an aggressive move in towards turn 1, and definitely that's the form that we've seen so far this season. Olsson is the aggressive one. The back marker lets them through. We continue side by side down the hill. Byfeld is trying to hold on the outside, but surely at some point the grip is going to start reducing. On the last lap, though, they were looking good. Squeeze into the outside. Olsson goes further. Contact. Byfeld saves it.
He does. He doesn't quite get dragged completely off the circuit. On the dry tyres, by the way, and on the rain, really depends how intense the rain is. I don't know what percentage intensity the rain is, but in Porsche Cup cars especially, a lot of mechanical grip, a lot of heat in these tyres, obviously. They've been racing on them 20 minutes. You can stay on them for a long time. Even when we start to see some spray, you can start to or continue to stay on them if the rain is light enough. But if it is pretty heavy rain, and often it's quite hard to tell just by looking at the rain, it's Olsson, big slide, and he has somehow miraculously saved that from a bigger incident, although he has still made the error. Byfeld with a great chance to come back again at turn 1.
I thought he was gone, but what a save that is for Tobias Olsson in the 91 car. Byfeld's going to go to the outside. This is going to slow Olsson down massively, but he's going to keep it on the outside. Actually, side by side they go. Fair play for giving each other the space, but now Byfeld has the run. He has the momentum, and he retakes the lead. Be careful on the front to rear contact. That will spin Byfeld around, and he knows that. That's why he wiggled away from him up towards the braking zone. We know Olsson's going to brake later. He's going to wait until Byfeld gets on the brake pedal, and he does so. He completes that remove up in towards P1.
Yeah, and he doesn't go too deep so as to allow Byfeld to just turn straight underneath him there, which was very much in the thoughts of Byfeld. He's going to get forced out wide if he goes round here as well, so he's got to, I think, try and do it again. Oh no, he's been forced out again. He's been tricked into trying to go around the outside at a place it's just never going to happen. Olsen's patience with letting that happen is getting thinner and thinner now, and so he's just not going to let that happen anymore. Olsen defends well again, and Oscar Berntsen is in this fight. This is what he needs, really. He needs not at least for his own security in the lead, but actually to take some points off Byfeld. He needs his teammates up here too.
So Olsen is trying to play this as good as he can. He's getting his teammate involved, as you're saying, but Vigaju's catching up as well. There was a 2.5 second gap, by the way, just a couple of laps ago, and that is how much... Oh, Berntsen's there. Berntsen is right there. He's slowing them down massively as Tobias Olsen, and now this is a big lap coming up here. Can Byfeld hold on, or is Berntsen going to get through up into second place? This is a huge turnaround from your pole position driver. Dropping way outside the top 10 is now back in the battle for the lead with 9 minutes to go.
It's an extraordinary battle between all these guys. Really is. Up over the curbs, and Berntsen has got to make himself useful now, especially before Oliver Harkstrom Vigaju gets hit. He's got to try and disrupt Byfeld. And can he do that indeed into turn 3 this time? He's certainly in the mirrors of Byfeld, and you can see that Byfeld was looking at them as well, because he just changed his line a little bit on the way towards turn 3, but here we go towards 4 again. He's going to have another chance, and maybe this is the time that Olsen gets away.
Yeah, I think it might do. It seems that Byfeld was quicker in the dry, and now he's got slightly damp. Olsen seems better. Out of interest, they're quick enough to hold on from the wet tyre runners who are doing almost exactly the same pace, considering these guys are battling. So it might just be going to wet tyres, but I don't think there's long enough left in the race. Let's see. Berntsen around the outside, though. That is not the place to go. Definitely thought he was going to back out of that one. You, in theory, can, but it just tightens up so much on the exit. Oh, a big puddle there on the inside. They're really staying away from that one now, as if you hit that lake that you see, you are going to go flying and go spinning. So the 35 now is really putting the pressure on Byfeld, who is in this sandwich situation where he's got his rival ahead in the championship, his rival behind in the championship. Remember, Berntsen was 3rd in the championship. This is absolutely crazy, and they're coming up to some back markers too.
Yeah, they are mostly on wet tyres. The driver's in front of Jochen Frisk, who is on the wets at the moment. Not too far off his personal best lap time, so we're not actually that far away from, even though it obviously is slower than these guys, but his best lap time is also slower than these guys, so that'd be no surprise. But he's now just pulling out the way, slowing down on the way towards turn 3, and I think Byfeld has realised that actually staying back here from Olsen and not attacking him for the next couple of laps might actually be the better call, because the longer that fight went on, the more inviting other drivers they were doing. And Berntsen has obviously joined them, but now that he has, he's realised that staying single file for just a few more minutes can distance anybody outside the top 4, really.
Indeed, they need to be careful. Berntsen way late on the brakes, way too late on the brakes. You saw that coming in. It was never making that corner, and that is his opportunity for second place gone, unless there's issues ahead. So Vigaju's going to get up into the podium places. Fortunately, the gaps behind have opened up. He's going to rejoin in 4th place. Only 1 position lost, but he's got Sundell, who's chasing him down a little bit further back as well. Is this Hampus Baz? We've seen him having a few issues so far. So he's up behind Forsberg into towards turn number 4. Was there a battle in turn 3? Looks like it's continuing on. The door was left wide open there, but Baz not choosing to dive in down the inside, but actually later he's just way more mid-corner speed there. Forsberg goes wide, and it's also going to be Skegerson, who we're looking up inside the top 10 earlier, but is now getting that position, which is currently for 15th.
Yeah, we haven't really been able to focus much outside the top 10 so far, but to be fair, outside the top 20, everybody's coming for wet tyres, and they're all just trying to get back up to speed, and this is just inside of that, down at turn 4. But the amount of ice cold racing drivers who are down here also would really prefer them to be further up where he is, but unfortunately not able to take much many points off of Byfeld in the positions they currently are all this way down the field.
And what a event we're having here. Looks like, is it stopped raining as well out there? So the drivers who went to the wet tyres, definitely the wrong call. And it was quite a few in the end. There's about 10 or so drivers towards the back of the pack who went on to that. I guess you might as well take a risk if you're there, but it's not going to work out. Just 5 minutes remaining, and the sun is definitely out there on the track, and the leaders are doing within 3/10 of their best lap time for Olsen on the last one. So the grip is there. They can battle as they wish right to the end of this race. We're looking at this battle to the back end of the top 10. There's Nordstrom, he's got Strand and Sundell Berntsson, his teammates all up ahead. A huge send in the background as well from the 199. There's Lindelof trying to make the pass on Backman. He's squeezing Backman wide, and he might have this one stuck on the exit he has, but that was out of nowhere.
It was out of nowhere, and not a place you normally see moves made. Well, they're not in highlights packages for good reasons, let's put it that way. But Lindelof has made that work very nicely indeed, and is up to 8th place at the expense of Backman, who drops to 9th. More trips across the wet stuff on the outside, although that's a lap down driver who's on wet tyres, so able to sustain it a little bit better. 4 minutes to go, so 3 laps, and Olsen's been caught again by Byfeld.
This is quite something. Oh, the battle for the leader. Big send to the inside from Olsen as he tries to defend to the outside. We're seeing for Byfeld and not able to work his way through. I think Olsen has just been so aggressive that it's making Byfeld just a little bit more cautious. In the background, Vigasu's nowhere to be found, so it's a two-way battle. We've got about 3 laps to go in this race, and it is getting tight between the leaders. Back into this battle in the back end of the top 10. Lindelow's trying to get Nordstrom as Backman actually now is thinking about getting back down the inside. That position was lost a lap ago, but also talking on positions lost. Maybe Olsen, no, not this time around. He holds on into turn 7. Byfeld is really putting the pressure on him though, and if Olsen holds on to this one, it's certainly a massive display of courage, because Byfeld's definitely the faster driver in this race, but he can't find a way to get through and then stay ahead.
Yeah, I think partly it is down to the fact that Byfeld is quicker, but also I think Olsen does keep making mistakes. I mean, the first time round, when he caught for the first time Byfeld, Olsen was off the back of doing a lap that was in the high 33s. At that time, somebody, a long way further down the field, looking at Thomas Headland, who was at the time on dries around 20th, was quicker than him on that lap. So no disrespect to him, but Olsen definitely made a mistake on that lap there. And that's what caused the initial fight. Again, I think Byfeld has been very smart in this race to sort of put the battle on pause for a little while. A bonus that Berntsson actually got himself out of the group, but he stopped the fight because he knew that should it go on any longer, his Ascot Racing teammates there for Olsen would have joined in, and at that point Byfeld would have be overcome by all of them, and thankfully he's been able to stop that by not battling so hard. That meantime was Nordstrom spinning through turn 1 to the inside.
Certainly was. A few drivers, Finoli, Wallen, Sundstrom all get through. Holmer's now getting the run to the outside as we work our way up towards turn 3. And can the Simrace Sweden car get that move done? He's beelining it to the apex to try and squeeze him off. Not enough room though. He wasn't far enough ahead. And in the end, Nordstrom retakes that position. 2 minutes to go. Definitely the penultimate lap, I should say. Final lap coming up. And Olsen, he's got a couple of tenths on this lap, and I'll tell you what, I think he can hold on, and this would be his 5th win of the season, and what a time it would be. He is going to lose points to Byfeld though for the night, which is the important factor, but he's still going to be mathematically in the fight when we get to Donington, and that is the important bit. He's not letting Byfeld get away with these extra 5 points.
So a minute and a half to go, and just about will be the final lap of the race, and a race that Olsen has got to win, but that wasn't a very good run at the final corner, and Byfeld is going to have an immediate chance. This white flag lap is going to be one of supreme pressure for Olsen, who's forced on the defensive. It reacts again to Byfeld, who might become a bit aggrieved about this. He goes for the late apex, and he's going to try and take the lead on the run towards turn 3.
One final opportunity to turn 3, turn 4, and this is what is going to be. They go over the grass and over the water in towards the braking zone. They're squeezing each other in towards the braking zone. Olsen, he turns Byfeld. He was not turning into that corner. He was squeezing him to the outside. Can Byfeld regain in 2nd place? Yes, he can, but that was ultra aggressive of Olsen. He was not going to do anything to let Byfeld through. That is game, set, and match for this race. Keep it on the track, but the stewards will certainly have a word to either of the driver, and there might be further repercussions.
Yeah, they might be, and again, we need to see that replay to find out what actually happened there, whether indeed that was Olsen not turning in, or whether Byfeld was trying to turn in a bit too early. Again, hard to see from this angle. It does look, because I mean, again, hard to tell from here, but it looks to me like Olsen does actually, here we go. Does he really hit the apex, or does he really delay his turn in quite a long way? He's not on the apex there, is he? He's not found the apex, Olsen. I think he could land himself in trouble for that, but on the road, he will finish first.
It's certainly going to be an interesting one, but he's fought for it hard and he needed to. Byfeldt dominated the opening race. Olsen came through the pack and he's going to win the second race of the evening. Round 10 of the season goes his way for his 5th race victory of the season. The Additon Vehicle Constructors Grand Prix goes to Tobias Olsen. Byfeldt will come across in second place, but of course, controversy nevertheless. Vigersjö will be in third on the podium, and Berntsen, after his little mistake, well, quite a big mistake in the end, little damage, only ends up in 4th place. Lindelof will be 5th, gets Matt Strand to the line by a 1/10 of a second between the teammates. They were side by side through the final corner. Sundström, Finoli, Sundell and Bohlin will be your top 10. But this was a very interesting evening for how we're going to see the drivers battle when we get to Donington Park. As you can see, Olsen is going to leave nothing on the table if he is to win this championship. He was certainly the favourite after the first couple of rounds, but then he struggled the last couple. He's managed to get himself a race victory tonight, but let's see how it ends in the stewards room. There's just 2 races to go this season as well at Donington Park. Just 100 points plus the bonuses up for grabs, and of course the drop scores will be fully into play in the standings after the stewards review this race. It's going to be a tense wait for 2 weeks' time when we get to the final round of the season. And I can't wait to see how that one is going to be. As the final drivers come across the line, and with obviously the rain that's out there, quite a big field spread of the final few drivers being not a lap down. Here are the results though. After 20 laps of action, Olsen won by a second from Marcus Byfeldt, who got the fastest lap again, so a couple of extra bonus points coming his way. Vigersjö, for nearly on pace, is in 3rd place, so nearly on pace, to be honest, are looking good for this Constructors' Championship as well. Berntsen, Lindelof in behind Olsen's teammates. Then we've got Strand, Sundström, Finoli, Sundell and Bohlin, your top 10. And what a battle this was actually for the back end of the top 10. Nordstrom and Holmer were the closest cars in the end, with Backman dropping down for MHE Racing to P13. There's a big gap behind to Forsberg, Bask, Skegerson and Uvenham. Then it was Carlson, Fennell and Pfeffer. Pfeffer struggling a little bit tonight, but staying on the lead lap. Svensson, Dahlstrand, Hedlund and Bjorn Broström, the final drivers on the lead lap, before we saw Olsen, Norberg, Eriksson, Frisk, Loven and Gran, your top 30. And then a final few drivers, quite a lot actually, getting to the end of the race. Just about 5 DNFs from this race. Motin, Forsell, Norgren, Pennings, Federstad, Holmbaum, Schott, Limburg and Crook. And that was a very chaotic evening of racing here at the Red Bull Ring. A big championship fight between Byfeldt and Olsen, and is going to come down to the wire. 2 races remain at Donington Park in 2 weeks' time. I can't wait to see you guys there once again. Don't forget as well, we return to the oval action next week, which is going to be a whole load of fun, because we have a double header at Iowa in just a week's time, and then we will return in 2 weeks to Donington Park, the Additon Grand Final on the 27th of November. It's been myself, Cam, Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, bringing you through all of the action, and Hugo Louise on the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next week for the Oval Series, or 2 weeks for the Road Course Series, it is a very warm goodbye.